This is the Gridiron Guys podcast with Anthony Stalter and Super Bowl champion Carey Davis.
Driven by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers.
Welcome to the Gridiron Guys. I'm Anthony Stalter alongside Carey Davis, Super Bowl champion with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and this will be our instant reaction podcast for Week 3. We are recording this on Wednesday, so it'll be an instant reaction plus 2 days of observations there, Carey. But let's dive into it.
Can we start with something else, some other news?
What do you want to start with?
We are fantasy football fanatics, right?
Sure.
There was a game this weekend between you and I. Am I correct?
Were we playing? We were playing each other?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I had a terrible week. You won.
Come on now. Come on.
I'm 0-3.
Yeah, you are. I just wanted to put that out there.
Fair enough.
Just to make sure. That is you, the team name.
Oh, yeah.
You got Josh
Let's get
Allen.
nasty.
Yeah, that's you.
That's me.
All right, just making sure.
Wow.
Just wanted to put that out there before we get started.
I scored 84 points.
I only scored 108, so yeah, I don't know.
Boy, you had Ryan Tannehill, 4.16
not
points.
great.
But
Not
I
great.
almost matched with Daniel Jones at 4.98.
Wonderful. The two-quarterback league is thriving, isn't
it's
it?
rough, dude. Yeah, so 14. There's 14 teams.
And two quarterbacks.
There's 14 owners and 2 quarterbacks. There's nothing.
It's not enough. It is what it is.
Yeah, I got Aaron Jones. He's been out the last couple of. It's a nightmare, man.
It's football.
Well, congratulations,
thank
though.
you. I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, you essentially beat Bethune-Cookman.
Yeah, it wasn't
but
great.
You know what?
Tyler Algier only got you 3.9.
And I had to start him because again, Aaron Jones is out. So, and I traded Alexander Madison because I didn't love him. I traded him for Cortland Sutton, but
he fumbled twice, and
and so he scored a touchdown at least. But,
did he? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's that.
You know what, Carey? You might as well start there.
Okay.
Because
let's start there.
I mean, if you're talking about one of the big storylines from last week, it's got to be the fact that Miami scored 70, could have scored 73, but Mike McDaniel decided to have a heart against the former team that he used to be the ball boy for. I mean, Carey.
I think they could have scored 85 if they wanted. I think they could have scored a cool 84 points if they really pressed and pushed the gas. I'm 42 years old. We're roughly around the same age. I have never seen a team give up 70 points in a National Football League game ever. And so we're watching that game, and you're like, "Whoo, Miami!" First half, like Miami's rolling. They're really good offensively. And you continue to watch, you're like, "Whoa." Miami, well, he's got Stalter dropping keyboards over there. That's
Somebody's
going
to be ticked at that.
That's how bad the Broncos defense was. He's dropping clipboards and keyboards and
that sounds the
smashing
Broncos
things.
again.
I've never seen anything to that extent. I mean, it's 35-13 at halftime, which you're like, okay, it's bad, but is it really that bad? You still got a chance to run off another 35 points in the second half and not put up any sort of resistance from this Broncos defense, which I thought was really good last year.
Yeah.
This team stinks.
They're terrible.
And I think Nathaniel Hackett is somewhere doing a praise dance. He's like, see, it wasn't me.
Right.
They were terrible with me or without me. They are terrible. It is an embarrassing thing to watch in the National Football League right now. Watch this Denver Broncos team.
Carey, they lost a game last year 51-14.
Oh.
It was the Christmas Eve or Christmas Day massacre. They've called it.
Oh,
and then you lost 70-20. So you've lost in less than what? A calendar year.
Yeah.
You lost a game 51-14 and 70-20.
You aren't very good.
You have to tear it down to the studs.
And this was a team that defensively, as I said, I want to say they were tops in the league in points allowed.
But at this point, Carey, you don't know.
With giving up
stinks.
the 51 points.
Right.
That should tell you all you need to know. But they are. It does. It stinks.
It stinks.
You're 100% correct.
You don't know where the stink. You know it stinks, but you don't know where the stink is. So you have to kind of tear it down.
Do you not know?
You have to tear it down.
Do you not know?
To me, you have to fumigate. You have to completely
bring the exterminator
because you may think it's the trash, and then you realize that there's an old bottle of milk that was also in a cabinet, and then there was also mold growing behind. Like, you have to completely tear this thing down if you're Sean Payton.
Yeah, I mean, and he'll have the time to do so. I mean, his first year as a head coach there, whether it's Russell Wilson trying to figure out the offensive line, defensive line, linebacker, whatever it is, it needs to be fixed.
Yep.
Because that is inexcusable. You should not give up that many points in the national. Everyone on that team is in the NFL. It's not like college where you got some guys that are go to the NFL, some guys that are going to be doctors, lawyers, mechanics,
right.
Teachers, whatever the case. It's not like high school where you got even less guys that will ever make it, and then some guys are really just playing just because they love the game.
Sure.
This is the National Football League.
That's
Every man
paid.
on that roster is being paid to be there, and you show up or don't show up in that manner. It's disrespectful, man, and it's sad to be a part of that. And again, I don't think it was Miami just pouring it on.
Yeah.
I think they were just playing football, and everything that they wanted to do. That is an offensive coordinator's dream. When we dream in big plays and touchdowns and fans screaming. That's how our dreams go. And that was an offensive coordinator. If you dreamed up an offensive game plan, scoring 10 touchdowns, a total of 726 total yards, come on, man. You almost – 3/4 of a way to 1,000 yards of total offense. Come on.
I mean, you probably could have scored the century mark.
That's what I'm saying.
14 in the first quarter, 21 in the second, 14 in the third, 21 in the fourth. They didn't kick a field goal. They could have at the end to get the record, but I mean, what more can you say?
Do you want?
To me though, Carey, this is why I picked the Dolphins to win the AFC East. But I will say this. I figured they would look good, and we've talked about this on podcast. I figured they would look great in September, great in October, great halfway through November. Then we'll see.
Right.
And I won't change my mind on that. Can you be physical? Like Raheem Mostert went off last week. Their backup also went off.
Yeah.
Can you run the ball in late November when everybody's banged up? Can you run the ball in bad weather? That is my question. But this is why I like the Dolphins coming in. Yeah. I thought they had fewer questions to be answered than the Buffalo Bills and even the New York Jets before Aaron Rodgers got hurt, and of course the New England Patriots.
I think the only question that they needed to be answered was Tua Tagovailoa. Was he going to stay healthy?
Sure.
Was he going to be able to get those receivers, that elite track team worth of offensive skill positions that he has? Was he going to be able to get those guys the ball? Yeah, the answer is yes. And if that's the only question that you've had. Now, defensively, that first game, you thought, maybe they got a little bit of problems there. But in the times when they needed to get to make a play, they did.
Yeah.
And when you're looking at what they're doing now, offensively, it is extremely impressive. It's football, man. Offensive football, I'm telling you, that's what we dream about, to see that many touchdowns, that much offense, running the ball effectively, passing the ball effectively, everyone having a good day. And that's what they had on Sunday.
Let's go to another story. So we'll go big storylines and we'll kind of go from there, right? So there's going to be some games that, not that we don't want to dive into deeply, but there's some game, like 49ers and Giants, for example. The 49ers 30-12. Yeah. What more is there to say? I mean, so again, we'll kind of hit the Giants and 49ers. The 49ers, to me, are the best team in football.
No question.
They're the best team in football.
Yep.
They continue to show that they're the best team in football. They're going to have bigger tests than the ones that they have faced thus far. But you go on the road to Pittsburgh, tough environment, week one. You throttled them. Then you went on the road again in a divisional game against the Rams, and you took care of business. Then, short week, you turn around and you beat a Giants team that was kind of flying high after the upset. Yeah. Oh, not the upset, excuse me, the come-from-behind victory against the Cardinals. You took care of business, man. Yep. This is the best team in football.
Hands down. Right now, in my opinion, when you're talking about a total team, offensively, defensively, special teams, they do everything. They got guys that get after the quarterback. They got guys that make plays in the secondary. They got one of the elite linebackers in Fred Warner on the defensive side. And offensively, you pick your poison. Figure out who you want.
Carey and I are brothers from another mother.
Figure out who you want to stop, and then stop him. But remember, there's 2-3 other guys that they can get the ball to. And it's fun. I mean, I think Brock Purdy is doing a fantastic job. Everyone talks about Mr. Irrelevant. He was the last pick in the draft. Who can tell?
Who cares?
I mean, you would take him over a vast majority of the quarterbacks. It's maybe 8 to 10 guys you wouldn't take him over.
You take him in a heartbeat over Zach Wilson, who was the number 2 overall pick.
Jimmy G in Las Vegas, he's leading the league in turnovers. There are guys that that Brock Purdy could play for, but he's on this San Francisco team and he is playing at a high level, and it is fun football to watch. When you have that many guys, the thing about offense that makes, for me, what makes offense special is when you can get all 5 of your eligible receivers in the game plan and a defense doesn't know who to cover. I saw the 49ers line up Deebo Samuel in the backfield and Christian McCaffrey in the slot. Those 2 guys are supposed to be swapped. So when you're looking at this from a defensive standpoint, what the hell are we in man? Okay, so do we put our corner in the box?
It's positionless. It's positionless football.
And now we're going to run the ball at a corner because hey, we're in man to man and we got the corner in the box so he can cover Deebo Samuel. Or are we going to try to stay how we are and pick your poison?
And if you go zone, you're giving open space.
And they ran a 5-yard out to Christian McCaffrey for a first down.
Yeah,
it's so hard to cover and to game plan for an offense where you do not know where the guys are going to line up. That's one of the things Miami is doing well also. They don't know where people are going to line up or how to defend it. And so you have mismatches all over the field when your offensive coordinator and your offense is able to make guys, find ways to get guys in eligible positions to make plays.
The NBA switch kind of transitioned to positionless basketball. We're seeing, positionless football in some respects with some of these offenses. Chargers 28, Vikings 24. Minnesota drops to 0-3 on the year. But to me, the storyline was Brandon Staley once again. How many times, how many weeks in a row now, dating back to last year, has this guy made a colossal F-up? Going back to Mike Williams being played last year in a meaningless game
and getting hurt.
And unfortunately, Mike Williams now done for the year.
Yes.
No surprise, but it's a shame. He's a good player when healthy, but he's hardly healthy. But you go back to last year, Carey. He's playing Mike Williams in a meaningless game. Mike Williams gets hurt. His offense goes in the tank.
Right.
When you look at the mistakes that he has made with the clock or whatever, here's the thing: when you are doing the analytics thing and you use analytics, I'm good with analytics, but for me, I know what they are and I know what they aren't. They're a way to show you percentages. They are not something that should be used to tell you what to do.
Right.
That's where instincts come in, feel for the game. And Brandon Staley doesn't have a feel for the game. He's kind of like a baseball manager looking on the spreadsheet and saying, well, we need to do this right now because this is what the spreadsheet.
So. Yeah.
I got no issue. You're going to go for it on 4th down, fine. Justin Herbert was 40 of 47. You ran the ball up the middle with Joshua Kelly, who had 12 carries for 11 yards, Carey.
Didn't make a lot of sense.
You won this game, sure, but you're playing with fire constantly.
He has gotten away with some very questionable decisions. I think back to last year against the Browns where Keenan Allen wasn't even at the game, but he was at home tweeting what are we doing?
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken, didn't they have the overtime issue where a few years ago where if they just tie, they make it to the playoffs and they made a mistake?
Yeah. Was that it was
2 years ago.
Was that 2 years ago or last year
2 years
against
ago,
the Raiders?
Against the Raiders 2 years ago in 21.
Boy, that was 2 years ago now.
So he has a long history of questionable decisions.
And that was after Justin Herbert converted like 4th and 18 12 times on the last drive.
It's a history of it. And so fortunately for him, I think they have worked out more in his favor than not, but I think most people are just questioning when is it not going to work. On the other side, you're looking at a Minnesota Vikings team that has lost now, I believe 3 one-possession games. You know what their record was last year in one-possession games?
It was like 11-1.
11-0.
Yeah.
And so most people were saying, that's not realistic. You're probably not going to win every single one-possession game. Us two were saying that. And so now they're coming back to normal. They're losing those one-possession games. And it's just how football is, man. It doesn't always feel right. You have an interception literally go through the defensive back's hands for the go-ahead touchdown for the Chargers on Sunday. And what do? Last year, that ball is picked or knocked down, and they got to go for it on 4th down. So it's football. It's unfair. It's not right. It's crazy. It's a crazy game. But just watching them and how they're performing, Kirk Cousins is doing pretty damn good.
His numbers are always good. His numbers are always
he's
good.
Got a guy he throws it to.
Yes.
And so they're always and they're down.
Yeah.
They're usually down.
Right.
So they're not able to run the ball right now. So I think Minnesota isn't as bad as their 0-3 record, and I definitely don't think the Chargers. They're 1-2, and I think they should be 0-3.
Yeah,
they're not as good as a 1-2 record, in my opinion.
Yes, yeah, I'm with you. The Vikings are their own worst enemies. We know what the issue is with Minnesota. They can't get off the field defensively.
Yeah,
and they have like 7 turnovers in the red zone this year. It's terrible. They shoot themselves in the foot constantly. You know, they were in that game against Philly last Thursday night and shot themselves in the foot. They should have won this game, shot themselves in the foot. They're done though. They're done. But I agree. If they hang on to Kirk Cousins, like they're going to be the team later on in the year where they're 4-8 and you don't want to play them because of that offense.
Yep.
Green Bay 18, New Orleans 17. I think the NFC South overall came back down to earth. You had 3 teams that were 2-0 going into this week.
Yeah.
Saints have a 17-0 lead, but this offense is not good. And I know Derek Carr gets hurt.
Yeah.
But that offense struggled against Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
That offense struggled mightily against Tennessee. They don't run the ball well. They've got plenty of weapons on the outside, but they got red zone issues. Derek Carr is not getting it done. And we'll talk about another team that's been woeful in the red zone a little bit later on. They had the most shocking upset. Mm-hmm. They were the ones upset in week 3. But there's kind of a theme here with some of these good teams. The Saints have major red zone issues.
Right.
That's why they lost the game. Not necessarily because Derek Carr got hurt. Derek Carr got hurt when they're up 17-0.
Right.
Gary, run the football, get out of Dodge,
and go
and
home.
regroup.
Get on the plane, go home, have a celebratory time on the way home, but win the game.
You got a special teams touchdown. You should win that game. But that to me, from the Saints' perspective, is the problem.
Were you more? I guess. Did you blame that more on what the Saints didn't do, or were you more impressed with what Jordan Love was capable of doing coming back into that game?
Well, I like Jordan Love. I thought that Jordan Love. Let me answer your question first before I go off on Jordan Love. When you're up 17-0, win the damn game.
Yes.
When you're up 17-0, you throw, you get a lead, run the ball in the second half, minimize possessions. I'm not saying completely go and prevent and play not to lose and all that. I'm not saying that. But Carey, as a head coach and offensive coordinator for your high school team, you get in the second half with the lead. It's all about we're playing the clock. We're playing the opponent.
Take care of the ball.
So I blame the Saints. But Jordan Love and Desmond Ridder did they switched bodies the last 2 weeks. So Jordan Love last week had 0 passing yards in the fourth quarter. That's a game that was handed in win this game, and he couldn't. Desmond Ridder played like crap for 3 quarters, came alive in the fourth quarter, did everything he could to win the game. Desmond Ridder went to Detroit and was awful.
He came back to life.
Awful.
Came back to earth, I guess.
And Jordan Love stunk for 3 quarters, came alive in the fourth quarter when they needed him.
Yeah.
That was huge, I think, for Jordan Love's confidence in his development.
I agree. Coming back in the fourth quarter, it definitely has to give you a boost to knowing that you're able to do it, able to come back and win a National Football League game where you're down and you're at home. And so the Green Bay Packers want to win. They expect to win. They expect this quarterback. They don't expect to take much of a step off from what they had in Aaron Rodgers. So hopefully they'll get the same type of effort, not the same type of play, but the same type of effort and the same type of results at some point. I thought Jordan Love did a great job. The Saints will be better this week. They get Alvin Kamara back, so that helps. They have more weapons again. Jameis Winston is your quarterback now because Derek Carr is out with an AC joint to his shoulder. But I think they'll be better than they were last year. And if you have an elite athlete like Alvin Kamara in the backfield, I don't think they lose that game. Yeah. Unfortunately, they did. Just trying to find ways. But I would give that more to what Jordan Love was able to do than what what the Saints were unable to do.
Carey, I don't know what to make of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, you go.
I got a new favorite player.
C.J. Stroud?
Yeah, buddy.
Out of all the rookies,
I love him.
I know that Anthony Richardson, he's missed basically the last 2 weeks.
Yes.
He got hurt early in that game last week. I know he's been impressive, but to watch C.J. Stroud is always under pressure, and he's just finding ways to make plays. He's not turning the ball over. He's been impressive. 37-17 at home, though. You're the favorite. You got all those weapons. And you just stunk.
Yeah. Yeah,
Houston took it to you.
Yeah.
For 4 quarters.
They did. Houston looked like the better team. They looked like the team that you thought Jacksonville would look like.
Yeah.
More confident, more dominant, getting after the quarterback, getting after, in the pass game. C.J. Stroud, to me, I had no realistic expectations for any of these quarterbacks coming in. They're rookies. It's new. It's the NFL. It's not college.
Yeah.
You didn't know if it was going to be Bryce Young. You didn't know if it was going to be him or if it would be Anthony Richardson. Maybe Will Levis would be one of the guys. C.J. Stroud looks like the real deal.
Yep.
He looks really good as a quarterback. Last I checked, he was 5th in the NFL in total in passing yards. He's doing an outstanding job, and I love watching him play football because he is he's 5th right now in passing yards. He looks comfortable. Yep. And he hasn't turned the ball over. And that's one of the most important components to being a starting quarterback, to being an elite quarterback in this league. The coverages that you're going to see are going to be much different than what you see in college, right? You're not going to be facing the same coverages, facing the same type of athletes. The athletes are supposed to be much better. But he's taking care of the football. He's finding the guys that he needs to get the ball to. And you know what's not the worst thing in the world? Ending the possession with a punt.
Yeah.
It's okay. Mm-hmm. If you can't get a first down, it's okay to punt it. It's okay to kick a field goal. He's taking care of the football. What's not okay is turning it over to the other team, and now they're in your own zone, in your own red zone with the threat to score or scoring a touchdown because you turned it over. I think he's doing a fantastic job, and I am completely surprised by the Jacksonville Jaguars, who, in my opinion, essentially returned everyone and added Calvin Ridley.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell's going on there. That was troubling to me.
And you could have lost week 1.
Yes.
So you offensively, you didn't show up in week 2 against the Chiefs. This past Sunday, you didn't show up at all as a team.
Right.
And in week 1, the Colts,
you should have lost.
You're better if you're facing a better team week 1, better overall team. Yeah. And I know the Colts went into Baltimore and won, so maybe I'm just disrespecting the Colts, and I shouldn't be. But week 1, you should have lost that one. Now you go to London and you face an Atlanta team also coming off a loss. It's kind of an interesting matchup on Sunday morning. I think we're going to find out a lot about both teams in that matchup. But good for Houston. DeMeco Ryans gets his first win. Houston isn't as far off as I think a lot of people thought going into the year. And I think I even took their win total over. I can't remember what it was. It had to be a low number.
I might have went up. We might have. We had to go back and listen. I don't know. I didn't expect them to be. It's a couple of teams with young players, young coaches that are playing really well. Houston is one of them. We'll talk about the other one later, but this is fun to watch, especially when you're a rookie quarterback and having fun and doing well. Yeah. Going into your division rival and beating them on the road was a spectacular win for the Texans.
I don't know how much time we need on this one. The Browns 27-3 over the Titans. I thought Tennessee was going to upset Cleveland.
Too. I picked Tennessee.
So did I. I thought, Carey, maybe you thought the same thing I did. It wasn't necessarily about Nick Chubb. It was
what do they do offensively without him?
Exactly. So the Browns are coming off a short week. They lost to the Steelers. Mm-hmm. You know better than anybody when you play Pittsburgh or Baltimore, you're going to be banged up. Yep. So then they come back off the short week. Deshaun Watson has not looked good. He's been turnover prone. But the thing that I completely overlooked was Cleveland's defense.
Yeah.
That might be. I like Philly number 1. Dallas is taking a big step back. Cleveland might have the second best defense in the league outside of behind Philadelphia.
Well, I might sound like a homer, but Pittsburgh got a pretty damn good defense as well.
Pittsburgh's very good.
They are very good. But Cleveland's defense, I mean,
they're nasty, man.
Listen, Myles Garrett is a man amongst men. Like he rushes the quarterback. And it feels like when it's a passing down, he's either getting to the quarterback or putting so much pressure. The quarterback is under so much duress that he's got to make a throw that is not on time. Feet aren't settled. It's not going to be a completion. Myles Garrett is spectacular in that role. And you're right.
Jim Schwartz moves him around.
I saw him a couple of weeks ago acting like he was dribbling the basketball, going through his legs over the center. Like, if you're the center and you got your head down and you look up getting ready to snap the damn ball, and Myles Garrett is working on basketball moves in front of you, what the hell are you going? What are you going to do? What chance do you have? Hey, y'all see this?
Yeah.
Help.
Double team me.
Double team. Help me. They are playing really well. I'm still not sold on the Browns because of the quarterback position. Deshaun Watson hasn't thrown for a 300-yard game yet.
He hasn't been good
in his Browns tenure, which you thought he was going to be really, really an elite quarterback. And maybe it'll get better without having Nick Chubb, without having that guy you're going to hand the ball to 20, 25 times a game. You may have to put more on the shoulders of Deshaun Watson, but I don't know that I can trust Cleveland yet. A, it's Cleveland. B, it's Cleveland.
Well, and two, there were three now. They have faced Ryan Tannehill.
Yep.
No offense to your guy Kenny Pickett, who had a really nice game. We'll get to Pittsburgh, who played the Sunday night game, and that offense looked different.
Yes.
But Kenny Pickett was not good in week 2 when they faced him, and then they also faced clearly a banged up Joe Burrow. So they haven't faced a quarterback. I know Joe Burrow's elite, but not this version of Joe Burrow. They haven't really faced a QB yet. All right, Colts 22, Baltimore 19. And I feel like you and Jamie Rivers, my partner on the Fast Lane, you guys continue to beat the drum about this offense for the Ravens not looking explosive.
Yeah.
And you're right. I mean, you look at the point totals. The Ravens have not been impressive. I think Lamar has played very well.
Yeah.
He's turned the ball over a couple of times, and once you do that, you're going to be in trouble. This Ravens offense, though, is simply not making the plays when they need to. They had an opportunity when they stopped the Colts.
Yeah, to get a first down. To get in field goal range.
I know Justin Tucker had the one attempt from like 90 yards out, and he nearly
64, and he
nearly
came
hit
a
it.
Yard short.
Like, man, but you don't have to get into typical field goal range for him, and they just couldn't. They can't execute. They're getting to 3rd and short. They're just not making the plays, and then they get past the 50, and it's like the offense shrivels.
They have an issue at running back. I believe.
Yeah,
I think
right.
not having J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, I think got banged up in that game. Lamar Jackson can be your leading rusher, but he shouldn't be. He shouldn't be your leading ball carrier, meaning he shouldn't have the most carries. He shouldn't have the most yards. You got to have somebody in that backfield that they can hand the ball off to 10, 15, 20 times a game if need be.
Yeah.
Right now, you got Melvin Gordon III there. I think Melvin is a great guy.
Is Kenyon Drake still there?
Kenyon Drake is still there.
I like Kenyon Drake as a backup,
I would love, and maybe this is something the Colts think about. I mean, Zach Moss has been playing really well. There's a guy on their roster that's coming off the PUP list pretty soon here.
No kidding.
Baltimore should try to go get him in Jonathan Taylor. They need a number 1 running back. They need a guy to hand the ball off to make this offense go in the way that it needs to. I don't think they've been explosive. I don't think they've done enough offensively. The eye-popping plays from Baltimore, the explosive plays, 20-plus yard passes and 12-plus yard runs. It's not been enough of them if it's not Lamar Jackson running the ball and breaking guys down after a pass attempt. They just don't look good. Now, on the flip side, you give all of the credit in the world to what the Indianapolis Colts were able to do. Starting quarterback out. Gardner Minshew, you can say what you want about him. He's a hell of a backup. He's a backup that could start on a few teams in this league right now. And I think he did a great job. They did a great job. Michael Pittman had a hell of a catch late there in that game where his helmet got popped off.
Yep.
You give the ball to your guys, find a way to make it happen. Zaire Franklin is a tackling machine. He finds the ball wherever it is. Mm-hmm. And they are being coached really well and playing really well.
Well, we also we'd be remiss if we didn't say Matt Gay, 31-yard field goal. Matt Gay, 54-yard field goal. Matt Gay, 53-yard field goal. Matt Gay, 53-yard field goal. Matt Gay, 53-yard field goal. In bad weather.
Yes.
Like, that was one of the best kicking performances I think you're going to see.
I agree.
Bad weather. We're not talking about being in Denver. He put on an absolute show.
It was not great weather. The field looked a little soggy. It looked wet. It was raining. It was a lot of things that were not in a kicker's favor, and he just powered through. Can I give a little bit of credit? Because I want to give credit to another guy we'll get to later. Shane Steichen has that team playing really well.
Yeah.
And for a first-year head coach, to have your rookie quarterback out, to have your backup quarterback in, and to go into Baltimore. You talked about how they played in week 1 versus the Jaguars, a team that they could have beaten. they're playing really hard, and it is good to see. They beat Houston on the road. No one really until this week. Texans were like, man, but to go into Baltimore and win that game, and to be in the game against Jacksonville the first week, he has those guys playing really hard, really bought in, and I enjoy watching it.
Think about this, Gary. We started off the podcast talking about Sean Payton.
Yeah.
Shane Steichen, Jonathan Gannon, who we'll get to. I always want to say Goodwin. Jonathan Gannon. I always say it there. Jonathan
Goodwin
Gannon
is a basketball player for sure, right?
That's where I'm going. Jonathan Gannon and D'Amico Ryans, who we just got talking about with the Houston Texans.
Yep.
Those three rookie head coaches their teams are vastly outperforming Sean Payton. Patriots 15, Jets 10. I'm not gonna. The horse is dead. I'm not going to sit here and bang on Zach Wilson. The kid can't play. It's unfortunate. It's a terrible draft pick. You want to turn the ball over to Trevor Siemian or the offense over to Trevor? Okay, you can't get much. You can't get much worse at this point. The Jets. We knew as soon as Aaron Rodgers snapped the Achilles that the Jets were done, and they are. They're done. There's nothing more to say.
And there are people in that locker room that believed otherwise. Let me remind you, this is a team. They had a backup quarterback. They had a couple of quarterbacks play last year. Joe Flacco played.
Yep.
Mike White played.
Yep.
Zach Wilson played. The offensive line was wearing Mike White shirts to a game. He was the backup until he was the starter.
Yep.
And when he became the starter, they were wearing his shirts. They had no desire to see Zach Wilson on that field again, and here we are. And, I mean, when you get Joe Namath actually paying attention to what's going on in Jets country and figuring out this guy, no, it's not it.
Yep.
I ain't heard Joe Namath say nothing bad about a quarterback. They done had some terrible quarterbacks.
Yeah, this is the one he's decided to pick on.
This is it. He's like, I've seen enough. I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
That kind of give you a kind of an understanding of where they are right now.
I'm not saying this is going to fix anything. Don't misconstrue on what I'm about to say. But if you're the Jets, you call Tennessee, you say, hey, we're going to flip you a 7th rounder, give us Ryan Tannehill. And then Ryan Tannehill manage the games, turn around. To me, if they find a veteran starter, just do that.
It might not be a bad idea.
It can't be Trevor Siemian. I know that Kirk Cousins sounds better. I get that, but
I don't know why they would trade Kirk Cousins.
Yeah,
they still feel like they have a chance.
You're the Titans. You've got you've
drafted
Malik
two
Willis
quarterbacks back to back.
Yeah, Malik Willis behind you, and
figure that out.
And the kid from Kentucky, Will Levis. But. Yeah, it's bad. And the Patriots are they're not impressive, man.
No.
They're not impressive. Mac Jones, I think Mac Jones has regressed. Somebody on Twitter, a guy named Ryan, who I appreciate, he's a huge Alabama fan. He's like, why are you so down on Alabama quarterbacks? To me, Tua, I think, is a perfect fit for Mike McDaniels. Yeah. I'm not down on Tua. Yeah. Mac Jones has had opportunities to win games for the Patriots this year. And he's been the epitome of fine to below average.
Yeah.
I don't think he's progressing. And we can't blame the OC because Bill O'Brien knows what he's doing.
Football. He's done a great job of having explosive offenses and finding ways to get guys open. Yeah. I think it's that and their skill position guys. I mean, they haven't figured out a way to really attack defenses with their skill guys, and they haven't, in my opinion, they haven't done a really good job of either drafting or developing their skill guys over the last. I would say the last.
No, they can't. Belichick has never drafted a guy in the first round, second round, whatever, that has made skill position wise, that has made an impact.
The thing, and the reason why I say drafting or developing, because they had Jacoby Myers, and Jacoby Myers looks pretty darn good in Las Vegas. So either you're not drafting well, or you're not developing well, one or the other. And if Jacoby Myers is having success in another place, that means you're not developing well enough because you drafted him.
Yeah.
But he's having more success in another place than I feel like he's had than he had in New England.
Yeah, I agree. And Rob Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez obviously had, Rob Gronkowski's the best tight end ever.
A good quarterback there, though.
They certainly did. If you're the Patriots, though, you got Hunter Henry and you got Mike Gesicki. If you want to do the 2 tight end thing, do the 2 tight end thing. But everybody else, Juju Smith-Schuster, Kendrick Bourne, you kind of got the same guy at every position right now.
They got.
Moving on, the Bills 37, the Commanders 3. No, to me,
kind
this
of
isn't a
impressive to me.
surprise.
That was kind of impressive.
To me, I'm not a big fan of Washington. They struggle with Arizona. They struggle with, we know how bad Denver is. Like
they came back and won.
How good does that win look now for Washington?
Maybe not great.
You know what I mean? Like the win over Arizona almost looks more impressive.
This is true. You come back to beat Denver and knowing Denver is not really good now.
Yeah.
And Denver actually had a chance to tie that game.
Yeah. You gave up a Hail Mary.
Hail Mary.
And then you mugged the tight end or receiver. I think it was the tight end.
I think it was more impressive on the Bills side of things.
Sure.
Because defensively they played really well. They got 4 interceptions from Sam Howell, one of them pick 6. They did a really good job defensively for the Bills. And Josh Allen, the one thing that I will give credit to Ken Dorsey for, the OC of the Buffalo Bills, you know who's the leading rusher who's been running the football? They are handing the ball
Cook.
to – yes.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is the most important thing for this Buffalo Bills team. You pay running backs to run the football. You don't have to pay your quarterback to be your quarterback and to run the football, to be your leading rusher. They're handing the ball to James Cook. He's got 44 carries this season to Josh Allen's 12. To me, that's a win for the Buffalo Bills. They are actually – handing the ball off to a guy that gets paid to run the football, and they're doing it pretty effectively. So if they can continue that, I think they'll be in good shape. They don't have to put Josh Allen in a position to make the big play every single time, because he seems to me like a guy that if you tell me, if you put it on me, baby, I'm going. Yeah. I'll do it. I'll do it. I promise I will.
He's trying to get.
And I don't need you
14 points every throw.
I don't need you to do it.
Yeah.
I just need you to do what we ask you to do in the offense. And I think when he does that, when you give him a solid game plan where he doesn't have to be the hero, I think you get the best version of Josh Allen and the best version of the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Lions 20, Falcons 6. Credit to the Lions here. Local product. Sam Laporta,
great game.
Put on a show. He caught a touchdown pass where the nearest defender wasn't within 30 yards of him. So coverage breakdown there for Atlanta. But I thought it was more impressive what they did defensively with 3 guys out. I mean, they had both their safeties out. Yeah. They had. Gardner Johnson, he's on IR. I mean, they were really banged up, and they bottled up Bijan Robinson. They took out Atlanta's running game. Jared Goff made just enough throws to, win it. And again, Laporte put on a show. So credit to the Lions, and you bounce back after the loss to Seattle, and you needed that because now you got a short week at Green Bay. Yeah, Atlanta. To me,
they'll be looking for a quarterback in the draft.
You have to.
Yeah,
you have to. And at some point, I think we are going to see Taylor Heineke. I don't think it's going to be within the next couple of weeks. I'd be interested to see where their bye week is. I think it's a little bit later. But Carey, as we get older, I think you look at a person and you say, I think one of the secrets to life is that person. You look at a person and you say, that's who they are.
Right.
And I accept who they are. That's who they're going to be. That's Atlanta. You kind of got to accept who they are.
Do you feel like, you're an Atlanta Falcon fan, so do you feel like the 2 draft picks over the last couple of years of Drake London and Kyle Pitts were wasted?
Yeah, of course.
And because you're not really getting the first round production.
No.
From those guys. And I don't think it's their fault.
I don't blame them. Yeah.
No, I don't think it's their fault.
Yeah.
But you're not getting it. And so you got those guys there. You need to give them the ball.
Yeah.
You drafted them. You need to get them the ball. You're giving Bijan Robinson the ball. He only had 10 carries, which I don't know how.
They abandoned the run.
I don't know how you lose 20-6 in your what is your I would love to know. What is the philosophy? Yeah. If you're the Atlanta Falcons.
I think
you got 3 first-round guys, and they got, what is this, 20 touches between them? Is that right?
Sounds about right.
Yeah, 24 touches between
on
those
Sunday?
3 guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
10 carries, 14 touches for Bijan, 10 carries, 4 catches, 5 catches. I'm sorry, no. 5 catches for Pitts, 2 for Drake London. So, yeah, 20, around 19, 20 touches.
I mean, Carey, I hated
That's
the picks.
Ridiculous.
I hated the picks at the time.
That's ridiculous.
You spend a 4th overall pick on Kyle Pitts when you don't have a defense. Mm-hmm. Then you turn around the following year and you spend the 7th or 8th overall pick on Drake London. Again, nothing against London and Pitts. You're not good enough to be drafting essentially a wide receiver who's he's labeled a tight end, but Kyle Pitts is a wide receiver.
Correct.
And then another wide receiver, and then turn around and select Bijan Robinson. And all these players I think are going to pan out. But you're a run-first team.
Right.
You're a run-first team with an offensive line who can't pass block. Yeah. All they could do is go forward. We had the conversation last week about that. So I think what happened there is, in Detroit specifically, I think Arthur Smith got away from – he kind of toggled back and forth. I think he ditched the run early because Aaron Glenn's defense was giving it to him.
Right.
And then later on you saw him take the ball out of Ritter's hands. Leave the ball out of his hands. Leave the ball – we joke about it. You're going to run on 3rd and 6. Yep. You're going to run up 14 points. You're going to run down 14. That's who you are. And your defense is actually pretty good. Yeah. Jesse Bates had another pick when the game was still somewhat, in check. And, the Falcons, I think, went backwards offensively. So not good. But, again, credit the Lions, and we'll see how the Falcons do against the Jaguars in London. Seattle 37, Carolina 27. I think the one of the storylines here is that Andy Dalton looked pretty good in that offense.
He does. Him and
but he should. He's a veteran quarterback. He is a veteran quarterback. Him and Adam Thielen had a really good connection. They turned back the clock for a second.
He gave you the best game he's had in a while. He played really well. But I don't expect much from the Carolina Panthers. I was really happy with Kenneth Walker, ran the ball really well.
Yep.
Geno Smith, I thought, did a really decent job. I don't know what this NFC West is weird to me. I don't know. I mean, other than the 49ers, right? The Rams were supposed to be bad, but they seem okay.
Yeah.
The Seahawks were supposed to be good, but they seem okay.
Ish, right.
And Arizona was supposed to stink, but they actually look really good. They're playing really hard. I don't know what to think about the NFC West. NFC South, the Panthers, I don't have much. I mean, you got your second-string quarterback, Andy Dalton, who has been around for a long time.
Yeah.
I think he's like top 25 in passing yards now. He's been around that
really?
long. I think so. I think
he's been around a while. He's got a lot of games under his belt. But Seattle took care of business.
They did.
The other game we can kind of skip is the Chiefs 41-10. I'm not going to beat up.
No, let's talk about it.
All right.
Let's talk about the Bears. And what I don't care about Taylor Swift
Justin Fields and
Travis Kelce.
Let's not. I don't want
to do that. That's fine, whatever.
Right.
But let's talk about the Bears.
All right.
At least let's talk about Justin Fields and this offense. What is it? Go.
Carey, you can't call. Did you see some of the plays?
What is it?
Did you see how wide open guys were?
What's going on?
What do we talk about with Bryce Young? What did we talk about with Bryce Young? Why did you and I like Bryce Young so much?
Because he knew he played in an offense that allowed him to find receivers and understand what football was.
And he processed.
He was able to process.
Bryce Young processes. I know he hasn't looked impressive thus far. But Bryce Young processes information quickly. Patrick Mahomes processes information quickly. Brady, Manning, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, they process information quickly. Fields is standing in the pocket waiting for somebody to be open, and meanwhile he's got somebody open.
Yeah.
And then he takes, he ducks down and takes a hit. Like, he's not seeing the Fields. And then he comes back last week and says, well, I just got to be me. No.
Yeah.
You have got to get up to speed.
I would love to sit in that meeting and kind of listen to what the miscommunication or the misunderstanding or what's taking place in that offense that he's not seeing or not understanding. Because here's the thing. He's your starting quarterback. He's the best one you got. We've talked about other teams. Zach Wilson, I bet you the New York Jets would love to have a Justin Fields. I think there are a few teams in the league that would love to have an athletic quarterback with an arm and the ability to do what he does. So then it becomes, as an offensive coordinator or as a coach, how do I maximize what he does best? I can call the best plays in the world, Anthony, if my guy doesn't understand it, what difference does it make?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
So we can blame Justin Fields for his inability to see a wide receiver wide open across the field, but guess what? He did that in practice too.
Right.
He did it throughout the week. That wasn't the first time.
Yeah.
And as an offensive coach and as an offensive coordinator, sometimes we get so stubborn. Oh, he'll get it on game day. No, the hell he won't.
No.
He's never going to get it. If he didn't do it in practice,
right,
or if he doesn't understand the concepts of where the guy should be and when to throw the ball, then guess what? You have to do what he does best because there ain't another one out there to go find. Ask the Jets. They're looking.
Yeah.
Ask the Broncos. I'm sure they're looking as well. Where can we find it? Ain't none. You got one. You better figure it out and figure out how to maximize what he does well.
Yeah, I agree. Moving forward here, we didn't talk about this one earlier, but we've alluded to it several times now. Cardinals 28, Cowboys 16. Cardinals they're coached well. They're playing in every game.
I love it.
Joshua Dobbs, I heard an interview today on Mad Dog Radio, and Joshua Dobbs is I didn't know this. He's like
rocket scientist.
He's a genius. He's a rocket scientist.
A literal genius.
Yes.
Like he's extremely intelligent.
I'm listening to him. I'm like, this guy, holy smokes, and he's doing well. But to me, Carey, taking nothing away from the Cardinals, one of the bigger storylines is that the Cowboys right now are 3 for 11 in the red zone in the last 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And I read an article where they're talking about, well, you don't have Ezekiel Elliott anymore, and you don't have Schultz, you don't have Dalton Schultz anymore. You've got a Jake Ferguson looks more than capable. You still have CD Lamb. You still you got Brandon Cooks. You got Tony Pollard. You've got guys.
Right.
Don't give me that. This to me is a Dak Prescott problem. Quarterbacks win on third downs and in the red zone.
Yes, I agree with that.
And you saw when the game was still hanging in the balance, Dak fed one to the defender. I mean, he hit him right in stride in the end zone.
Yeah.
He
forgets what color jerseys they wear sometimes.
Although
they don't have a red, so I don't know why he would throw it to them.
Yeah, why he threw it there. The red zone has been a major issue for Dallas, especially inside the 10.
See, I'm going to go opposite for this one because I want to give more credit to Arizona, who, in my opinion, has played so hard in every single game that they have been in this year.
No doubt.
With an opportunity to win. And I mean, you look at what they did against the Commanders. They pushed them to the brink. We don't know what the Commanders are. We didn't know. We still don't know. The New York Jets, they were up the entire first half. They were beating the hell out of the Giants, where they had to make a great comeback to win that game. And so they're building. They're a young team. You got a quarterback who I guess you could consider a journeyman. He's been around. He's been in the league for a few years. I think this is his 5th year, probably his 5th or 6th team. But a guy that never really got an opportunity, and now he's getting an opportunity without looking over his shoulder, without worrying about when is the starter coming back. He's hurt, and they don't really like him.
Yeah.
So he don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
This team under Jonathan Gannon, they are playing so hard, and it is amazing. It is beautiful to watch. And to go and to beat the Dallas Cowboys at home, to, I guess, keep Micah Parsons under control a little bit. Now, I'm sure some people will say, oh, well, they didn't have Trayvon Diggs. He's out for the year. Maybe.
You still got your ass kicked.
You still got it handed to you by a team that was projected to finish last in their division. And yours projected to potentially be first or second in yours. I would rather give more credit to what the Arizona Cardinals were than what the Cowboys were not.
Sure.
Because I said it before, I didn't know what the Cowboys were going to be. They beat two teams that, they beat up on the Giants and the Jets as they should.
Yeah.
Both of those offensive lines stink. And so they did what they were supposed to do. For me, this was more about what the Arizona Cardinals did versus what the Dallas Cowboys didn't do.
All right, three games. We'll move somewhat quickly. The Steelers beat the Raiders 23-18.
Yep.
Carey Steelers win. Josh McDaniels is being criticized for not going for it on fourth and 4. My bigger problem, Carey, was that he went for it on, I think, a 4th and 6 with about 13 minutes to go. You could kind of see the process that he had about, okay, well, I don't have to go for 2 if I kick the field goal right here at the end of the game. You had that same decision earlier in the quarter.
Yeah.
If he kicks a field goal, he doesn't have to worry about going for 2. You still need 2 touchdowns. So to me, it didn't make a lot of sense to kick the field goal there, but not kick it earlier in the game and assume that your defense. Either way, you're assuming your defense is going to make a stop. So I thought that was bad. Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't good, and credit the Steelers. That offense looked much better.
I will say I didn't have a problem with it, because and this is coming from a Steelers fan. I didn't expect the Steelers to pick up a first down. I just didn't. When they have to run the football, hey, cancel it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Like if you're telling me the Steelers have to run the ball and they're going to run the ball to pick up a first down, which they were in that situation because you didn't want to have the Raiders keep all of their timeouts or keep a couple of timeouts. You're going to run the football.
Yeah.
I didn't have a problem with it. I think he thought the same thing. They will not run the football effectively. And so why would I worry about I'm going to get this ball back with 2 minutes and we need a touchdown to win the game. So I personally didn't have a problem with it. I understood why he did it. Your quarterback didn't turn the ball over 3 times.
Yeah.
And so you're telling me I got to pass and I got to get in the end zone and the opposing team knows it and he's already given the ball to him 3 times today? Yeah, no. I'm not going, but he's also not going to say that to throw his quarterback under the bus. Jimmy G is leading the league in interceptions right now with 6.
He don't look comfortable.
He doesn't look good. He doesn't look comfortable. They got a couple of penalties in that game that gave them extra life. They gave a Minkah Fitzpatrick penalty, which I hated. They gave a jumping over the pile penalty on the field goal before they decided to kick the next field goal. So if I'm Josh McDaniels, I understand why he made that decision, looking at how poorly his quarterback had played in that moment. And you knew, and here's the other thing. Let's be honest. Let's be completely honest. If they go for it on 4th down, who is the ball going to?
For the Steelers?
No. For the Raiders.
Devontae Adams.
Everybody in the damn stadium knows it, right?
Yeah.
So why? No. He's already thrown 3 picks. I know who the ball is going to. We got to throw it.
Yeah.
That's not in my favor. Let's kick this field goal. Let's force this Pittsburgh Steelers team who does not want to run the ball and cannot run the ball well to run the ball 3 times, and hopefully we get a stop and get the ball back. That's how I looked at it. I didn't have an issue with it, and I know a lot of people are criticizing it. I didn't have a problem with it at all.
2 Monday night games, Eagles and Bucks. The Bucks are who we thought they were.
They are.
I mean, the Baker Mayfield situation, he has played well, but he played well against Chicago and he played well against Minnesota.
Yeah.
To me, the Eagles' run defense is outstanding, and the Buccaneers' game plan was run the ball.
Yeah.
Which tells you all you need to know about Baker. They got Mike Evans, they got Chris Godwin, they got a very good young tight end in Cade Otton, and Baker Mayfield threw the ball 19 times, and they were down virtually the entire game. That tells me all we need to know about Baker Mayfield. Defense for Tampa Bay is pretty good, just not good enough against a Philly team. And Philly rolled.
Philly looked really good. They're starting to. One thing we talked about John Gannon, we talked about Shane Steichen. Let's give some credit to Nick Sirianni. He is a coach that has already taken his team to a Super Bowl. What's this, his 3rd or 4th year?
This is his 3rd year, I believe, and he made the playoffs the one year that Hurts was a rookie too.
So you got a coach that is 3rd year in. Already has a tree forming with 2 coaches that are going to be really good in this league, and they are finding ways to win. And he's a realist. He understands, look, we're not going to be at tip-top performance, peak performance week 3. We're still building on this. We're A.J. Brown didn't get the ball the first 2 games. Yeah. We got to find a way to get him involved in the game plan, which he did. In week 3. DeAndre Swift said, you know what, Kenneth Gainwell, if you're going to take days off, I guess you won't be playing anymore. I will be the lead back from here on out. And he's playing extremely well. Handing the ball off to him, which, man, I don't know why Detroit didn't do that. It made sense to me, but for whatever reason, they chose not to.
Yeah.
He is doing what was expected of him the last couple of years. He's doing that now. Offensively, where is we talked about San Francisco and them having a lot of key positions and guys they can get the ball to. Philadelphia has the same thing on the offensive side, and their defensive line may be the best in the league. Offensive line, defensive line, probably the best combination of any team in the NFL. Good luck.
Then the Rams and the Bengals. Good win for the Bengals. They needed that one. Joe Burrow's not healthy though.
No, he's not.
I mean, you're all of his throws are out of shotgun. He barely put any weight on the back foot. That's a problem. Again, credit the Bengals. Trey Hendrickson just destroyed the Rams' young tackles there. That was a clinic that he put on. But the Bengals aren't going anywhere. Joe Burrow can't throw the football right now.
I would say the good thing that come out of that is he didn't re-aggravate it. And so as you go on, Joe Burrow, this for those that he doesn't have to practice every single day, meaning he doesn't have to take all of the reps. He can take mental reps. He's been in the league long enough. He's been an elite quarterback. He understands that offense. It's not changed. So he doesn't have to do the day-to-day, which means he can get off his feet. The important thing was he didn't re-aggravate it in that game, so now he's a week closer to being 100% healthy. And the more weeks you can stack on top of one another without stretching it, straining it, hurting it again, he'll be okay. I mean, where are we going into week 4? Let's say by week 8, you'll probably see the 100% version of Joe Burrow if he has no setbacks in practice or in games for that remainder of that time.
But you're 1-2. Your margin for error is
I think
little.
They'll be okay though. I mean, this weekend was a tough weekend for the AFC North. I mean, you got the Browns won, but do you trust the Browns? Do you think that they're a team?
Yeah, you still
You got the
Nick
Ravens.
Chubb.
Everyone is right there. I mean, they lost the first 2 games in the division, but I don't think it's that much of a concern.
Steelers won, but they still got issues.
There you go.
Yeah.
And the Ravens put on film that they got some issues as well.
Yep.
So you're back, but you're not as far back as most people probably think.
That's Carey Davis. I'm Anthony Stalter. Thanks for listening to the Gridiron Guys. We'll be back next week for more instant reactions. We appreciate everybody listening, and we'll continue to build this podcast. But for now, for Carey Davis, I'm Anthony Stalter. Thanks for listening to the Gridiron Guys.
Thanks for listening to the Gridiron Guys podcast with Super Bowl champion Carey Davis and Anthony Stalter.
Driven by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers.
Check out the Gridiron Guys podcast page at 101ESPN.com.